Hi everyone, I am Rajesh Kumar. I am having close to 16 plus years of experience in Devops, SRE and DevSecOps. I have worked with more than 12 software organizations around the globe. I would like to introduce you all a Devops School's flagship certification program in Devops, SRE and DevSecOps. This program will get started in the weekends, so get enrolled. Please contact us on the phone number given on the screen, and in fact you can email us on the contact@devopsschool.com. Okay, so the first question is, what is Terraform? Now, when we say Terraform, basically we say using Terraform, you can code for infra. So you're coding for infra. Now, next question is what's in infra? So basically, anything which you are using in infrastructure, you have in infra. For example, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. But I'll give you the list of what you have in infra. So that we call it a uh, Terraform providers. Okay. So now here, if you see the list of providers, these are the things you have in the infrastructure. Look at this. How many you have? 3034 tools you have or platform you have which you can code for it. Okay. So today 3034. Out of it, some of these popular one: AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, which you can see on top here. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Cube, Alibaba, and Oracle. So this is something which you have. So yeah, code for infra. So coding for what you are going to do, coding for all these 3334 tools and platform. So you are focusing on one of which is Azure. Correct now? This one.
Okay.
So yeah, using Terraform you can code for infra. Now they have two release actually. One is a community release and one is enterprise release. So this is a free. This is a command line tool. This is a free and it's open source. Now this is a GUI based tool, paid actually, and you can find it out and the website, HashiCorp website, you can find it. So now this tool is from the company which is called HashiCorp. HashiCorp is the parent company, and this is written in Golang. So if you want to customize it, you have to cut it to the Golang. So yes, this is the tool for infra coding coding for infra, and I'm going to cover this one from HashiCorp and written in Golang. Okay. So now next question is why we need. Simple reason, coding for everything. This is a concept in the DevOps. So we want to code for everything and including infra. So for that we are using this tool. So next question is how it works. This is important question, how it works. So you need to understand that. So let me depict the one picture here. So here, this is the Azure, this is AWS, this is the Google Cloud. Okay, three platform, but here you have so many platform. Now the question is, how can you automate AWS? How can you automate Azure? How can you automate Google Cloud? If you want to automate Azure, there is one cloud formation. If you want to automate um, AWS cloud formation, Azure ARM, Google Cloud also, we have some scripting. So if you look at this, these platforms, these many platforms, if you want to automate, if you want to code for it, there's a different ways to automate it. So can it be possible like using one coding standard, one coding specifications, you can automate for entire 3034 platforms? Is it possible? And that is what that Terraform will help you. So here, why we need it? So yes, it's coding for everything, but using one code, using one standard of code, you can automate this many platform. Okay, this we call it a providers. You can automate this many platform. Okay, so this is something which you can do. So here, but the question again, how it works. So this is you, okay, and you will write a one code. This is the one specification code. This we call it this code we call it HCF, hash CF, haship or coding SCL actually. So SCL, coding language, haship or coding language, something like that. Uh, so this is the one coding standard which you want to write it. So this is you will write a code. Now this code you will write for AWS also. How to write, I'll teach you. Azure also, Google Cloud also, and 3034 tools also. And now you will say this code will send to one executable which is called Terraform. So Terraform is one executable, one utility. This is written in Golang. We'll send it. Okay, and then when you send it, then AWS don't understand this code, Azure don't understand this code, Google Cloud don't understand this code. So what to do? So this Terraform code, read the Terraform utility, read this code whatever you write, and they send that code to one specific installer, and this is called provider. So here AWS provider, Azure provider, and Google Cloud provider. So now this code divided into three providers, and then this code will be sent to AWS. They will send to API of API of Azure, API of AWS, API of Google, and it will be sent to this. And now it's just like a mere API request. When you make a request, API request, it will generate a response. This will generate a response. This will also generate a response, and this response will be in a JSON format. And this is the file which is there. So now here you say create. Here you have a things apply or destroy. So you have resources here, whatever you want to create resources, you send to Terraform send this to provider. Let me write it, provider, and this is Terraform, and this is state file here, and this is a HashiCorp configuration language. This is the one, and this is you. So this is how it works actually. So you write one coding standard in SCL, send to Terraform, asking you want to create, update, or delete. Terraform send that code to this provider executable and convert that to API supported language. Make a API request, API request, API request. Whatever the response is stored in the state file, and this is the JSON file. Did you understand that?
Yes, Rajesh.
So this is the way you can basically code for entire 3334 tools or something like that. So the advantage is using one code, you can create whole infrastructure, apply, and you can destroy this whatever you wanted to create is this one. Okay,
Okay.
so this is
And Rajesh,
something.
one doubt, Rajesh, and this we can use the same code for other cloud provider also.
Yeah, you can same code means right now you are having the code for Azure, but you have to write a code for AWS, but same code not, it's not same code, similar one standard of the code. Thus here I said
Okay.
one standard of the code. So here you don't have to write a different code for Azure. In case if you are not using Terraform, then in that case 3000 tools, 3000 specification and coding standard you have to follow. So that is too much, right?
Okay. Yes.
So
Huge.
that is something. So here using one standard, you can automate for entire infrastructure, whatever you have. So this is how it works. So now next question is
Okay.
how to install it. So very simple. What you need to do, uh, download Terraform. You can install anywhere. So you can install in the Windows, Linux. It's a Go utility. So Mac, Windows, Linux, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, Solaris. So I'll go for the Windows. Here you can download it. AMD 64-bit here. So I have already downloaded it in my machines. Let me show
Okay.
you recently. So this is the C tools and Terraform. So this is the executable which I downloaded, I think last month only. So it's the latest one only.
Okay.
So you just download it. So nothing installations or something. Just download it. Okay,
Okay.
it's just exe download it, and this path you add in the environment variable. So here environment variable here path environment variable. Go to this here, and you see here added already C tools Terraform. So that's all.
Okay.
So just copy that in some directory. I have a C tools Terraform and set in the path. And after that, go to the command line and say Terraform. So installation is done. You want to see Terraform version, which version you have it. So I just type version, and here you have one of the latest version 1.3.8. So
Okay.
Linux also you will install, you will do the same thing. You will download this utility. See Ubuntu, CentOS, Fedora, Amazon, all these commands, all these instructions you have at one place.
Okay.
Okay. So now what you did is downloaded. So that is done. How to install it? Now the question is how to see here. I got this one done. If you look at this here, this is completed. Let me change the color. This is completed.
Okay.
Now I want these providers, which will convert my code into the different platform. So these providers you have to download. So for time being, we have to download Azure provider, and one more provider I'll use, which is a GitHub, just for the using purpose. So
Okay.
Azure, which you wanted. So how do we get this provider? So I will go to this website and click on the Azure, and here huge provider, here I'll click. So this is the code for downloading it. Okay. So I'll
Okay.
write this code. So here the next question is how to store code. Please understand some of the FAQs. So you
Okay.
store the code in any file name .tf. Okay. So how to store
Okay.
Terraform code? You have to store in this tf. Now there's another
Okay.
thing. There's a this statement is very important. One directory you have a multiple tf program. There are file name one in one directory, file number two, file number three. Okay. So
Okay.
is it called three different program? For Terraform? No. This
Okay.
is not called three different program. These all are, let me put it up this way and this way. This all, well, when you run the Terraform code, it merges and it become one TF. Get it? That means in
Okay.
one directory, no matter how many TF programs you store it, it'll become one during the running.
Okay.
Okay, so now what I'm doing, this is the code for downloading the provider. I'll just go and here create one directory, Terraform, and here I'll go for project number one, PRJ1, and here I'll store this file. File name can be anything. So here I'll just name it providers.tf. And here this is the tf. Open this file. Here it is. I store this code here, whatever that I downloaded from here. And now if you see that code is ready, let me close this. Code is ready. Now how do we run this? So here Terraform init. So Terraform init command which will help you to download the providers which you specify, which provider, Azure ARM provider, and this is the version of provider which will be downloaded from the internet. Which command? Init command. So look at
Okay.
this here.
Yeah.
This will be downloading that spelling mistake actually.
Okay. Yeah. TRR. Yeah.
Okay, so I downloaded this. I'm gonna check this out. So here you see that this is a code. I downloaded the provider. So Terraform providers. This is a hidden directory. Okay,
Okay.
registry, HashiCorp, Azure ADAM, version, Windows. This is executable. So this is what I was talking about. So here,
Okay.
if you see that in this code, you got this one and you got this one also. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
So now that you got the Terraform installed, provider also installed. Now what next? This code is important. You have to write it. Correct now?
Yes.
This code is important. So now the question is, how do we write a code? So okay, so how to how to down install providers? I showed you. Now one more providers I'll get it just for that demo. So go back, and there's one provider which I want to go for, GitHub, because it's a free tool. It's easy, faster. So here use this code. Now here some blocks are duplicate. So for example, Terraform you have 2 times. So this I'll copy and put it up here. So duplicate is not allowed. So this is
Okay.
done. And Azure ARM GitHub provider. This is the version of GitHub. So again, this is second. This is the second you wanted. So here one more time in it because GitHub will be downloaded. GitHub provider.
Okay.
Done, guys. So now you have completed this. So now if you see that, go to project one, Terraform, providers, registry, integrations, GitHub, version, Windows. Here it is. So this is done. Okay. So finally you got this one done. This is done. Now I'll focus on the code. So now let's focus on the code. So the question is what you want. So how do you want it? So here you have to understand the skeleton. So in this one, the world, this is called API. So basically provider make a request to API of AWS, API of Azure, API of GitHub or Google Cloud, whatever it is. So for API, everything is resources. Okay, so code will have a skeleton which is nothing but a resources. Find it. Resources. One, resources, resources two, resources 3, resources 4. So this is the resources. For example, if you log into Azure also, look at this. Let me log in. See here. This is the resources, correct now? So this is all our whatever the services, hundreds and
Yes.
hundreds of services you see, it's all about the resources, correct now?
Okay.
See here, create a resources. See here in AWS. Azure also is like that. In API world, it's a resources. GitHub also resources. Any API based application, they call it a resources. Understood?
Okay. Understood. Got it.
So here, no matter whether you want AWS or Azure or GitHub or what exactly out of these 3000 providers, it's being called resources. Okay. So now resources is important. So how to write a code, that is what I'm teaching you, how to write a code. So now each resources, you will have a certain attributes. For example, let me show you manually. When you go and create a virtual machines, let me create manually right now in front of you. So here you create a virtual machines. Now in order to create a virtual machines, many things you give it, right? You give the subscription, you give the resource group, you give the instance detail, you give the region, you get the availability. These are the arguments, right? Without that, you will not be able to create resources. Correct now?
Correct.
So that is called argument. So how, why I'm saying these resources? So now you have to find out what are the resources supported by Azure for Terraform. So here I'll go to Azure, and one more thing, always refer the official documents. I'll provide you my slides and all, but I think
Okay.
it's so it's get outdated so fast actually. So if you
Okay.
refer the automatically that official documents, it'll be easy. So now if you see that
Okay.
here, there's a documentation for GitHub. I don't want GitHub. I want what? Azure. Yeah, here. So here, let's go to the documentation of Azure. And left side, if you see, these are the resources. Look at this. Left side, scroll down. So Azure have a thousands of services actually. So this you should see is a resource group actually. Okay. So compute will have a virtual machine. Here it is. And this is the resources. And now look at this, there's so many resources, out of which, see, Azure Adam image, see, virtual machines. Here you can create a virtual machines using. So these are the resources. So now let's say look at the one resources, which is, that is very popular. And here if you go down little bit, have a peace of mind, these arguments which you see, you look at these arguments, that means these are the resources arguments, you can provide it to create the VM. So every resources will have their own arguments actually. Are you understanding?
Yes, got it.
So arguments one, arguments two, arguments three, it's depends on your requirement. Okay, and this is the one. So every time when you write a code in a file, TF file, you do nothing but what you provide. You provide resources and their argument, resources and argument, resources and argument, resources and argument. These resources can be from Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, or whatever the provider. These resources from this one, other one. These all are resources from different provider also, one provider also, it can be possible. So here, how to write a code? You have to specify resources and their argument. That's all. Are you understanding,
Okay.
all of you?
Yes, got it.
So now is this for in the today's session, what I will do, because this is a pretty long one, I want to explain it to you. I'll go for the small resources. So resource group, you know that, right?
Yes, Rajesh.
So let me go to the
Here,
small
here,
one.
here, Rajesh, here resource group is nothing but virtual machine.
No, 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 no. Do you know Azure, correct?
Azure, I not much, Rajesh.
Hmm. So I'll put it in this way. See, this is a fundamental. What you are doing, coding for Azure. So before coding, I'll put it in a more better way. Let's say you've
Okay.
been assigned to write a code for banking. Okay,
Okay.
correct now? Banking code. So here, this is you, and you will write a code for banking. So there is one thing I can teach you. You have planned for Java. You will write a Java. You will use Java for write a banking software. So now this is called tech skills. Okay, this is tech skills which I can teach you. Java I can teach you, but how the banking works, what is the function, services, forms, this, that, and all. This is called domain skill. Correct now? So
Correct.
this you should know. So in this case, in our case, this is you, and I'm teaching you what? I'm teaching you Terraform. Okay, for
Terraform.
coding
Okay.
for Azure in your case, Azure.
Okay.
So you have to know Azure before start doing the coding for it. Let's say I can teach you Terraform, but using Terraform you code for Azure. And let's say if you don't know the Azure, then you will not understand Terraform. I mean, you'll understand, but not a good way.
Okay.
Are you understanding?
Yeah, got it, Rajat.
Yeah. So here, that's what. So here you look at this here. Very simple way. You can write a code in Terraform. That is the one work which I'll teach you how to write a code, techniques of writing a code, troubleshooting and all. So, but here these resources, and there are arguments you should know or at least understand it. If you don't
Okay.
understand it, it's very difficult you to explain it. So for time
Okay.
being, I'll teach you what is a resource group. So
Okay.
here, where is a resource group? So here all resources are here in Azure, and here there is one create resources, and here AWS has so many resources. Even I don't know all the resources. Azure has thousands of resources. Azure has a thousands of AWS has thousands of resources. I don't know all of them, but most of this uh, essentials one I know, and rest of the things I can understand with a little bit less of time. So virtual machines you have here. So now one of the resources which is resource group. What is a resource group? Resource group is a resources which will help you to group the resources. It's like a folder in AWS, in Azure. Getting my
Okay.
points?
Okay.
So here in
Got it.
resource group, you can group multiple resources and create it. So first thing, in order to create a resources, if you look at this, let's say you want to create a virtual machines. Let's go and create a virtual machines here. So first you have to have a resource group actually. See here, resource group. Which resource group you wanted. So you can create it here also. That's one way, and subscription anyways, which is a paid amount. And after that, you fill
Okay.
that AMI, region, CPU, RAM, and blah blah blah. Get it?
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
now what I'm doing, because I have to start coding, right? So I have to start a coding. So which resources I should create? So to start with, I want to show you the complete flow. To start with, I'm creating very simple small resources, and that is called a resource group. Okay, that is a very small one. Okay, so in order to create a resource group, see here, this is the resource group, create it. Okay, so in order to create a resource group, see what you need a name and region. That's all correct now?
Yes.
Two attributes you needed, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now what I will do, I will go ahead and here I'll search for how do we create a resource group. So I have to search for it under this. Just a second. There it is under the resources, base resources, resource group. And what are the arguments we have? Look at this arguments. We have location and name and tags. These are the arguments. This is the example for it. Okay, so this is the
Okay.
example resources. This is the code, example code. What you want? Resources. Which one? Resource group. This is the resource. What is the name of resource group? What is the name of it? Resource group here. So this name is for the Terraform. This name is for the Azure. And which location? West Europe. That's all. So now what I'll do, I'll create this code, and here I'll save it. So azure.tf. So now azure.tf, and I saved it. That's all. So look at this. It's similar to this pattern. Resource one arguments, resource two arguments. So now more resources like this, you will have to put it up. Getting my points?
Okay. Yes. Got it.
Okay. So right now only one resources, saved it. Now the question is how do we do that? So you have a code ready now, only one resources. Now what to do? So if you see that here, you have apply and delete, destroy. This is the two commands you have. So what I will do, there's one command which I want to run it, which is called Terraform plan. Terraform plan will is like a dry run. It will check whether your code is correct, authentication is set properly, all this thing. So here, what is
Okay.
there? Here they're saying, hey, provider Azure ARM, at least one feature block is required. Okay, so insufficient feature block. So here, provider code has some problem. So, this is the one. So there's something is required. So now I don't know what exactly inside that you have to have. So I will ask provider itself because I don't know. So I'll ask, hey provider, can you please tell me what are the things you require? So Azure ARM documentations, go to the home page, and here you have a complete tutorials of it, what you can provide. So here you see Azure ARM feature block, inside the feature block you can have multiple options also. So right now I'll just copy this one, see here,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I'll just put it up this one. So it's a minimum bare, it's a block required. Inside that you can have multiple entries, but right now not complicating it. So
Okay.
done. So okay, so now I'll go for plan.
If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.